In today's videos, I'll be looking at every single Chucky theory that might actually be true. Every Chucky movie has been building towards something bigger than a killer doll. The soul splits, the voodoo rituals, and even the comedy were not mistakes. They're deliberate steps in a plan that could turn Charles Lee Ray into something closer to a god than a serial killer. But first, we need to start with the theory that explains why nobody ever finds the bodies. Let's start with the basics and work our way up to the theories that could rewrite everything you thought you knew about Charles Lee Ray. Doll body reversals. Think about this for a second. Across 7 movies and 3 seasons of television, Chucky's been shot, burned, melted, and blown apart more times than anyone can count. But here's the weird part. Nobody ever finds human organs inside a good guy doll. No forensic teams scratch their heads over lungs and kidneys stuffed into plastic. No autopsies reveal the truth. The theory suggests that when Chucky's soul leaves a doll body, it instantly reverts back to being just plastic and fabric. It's actually genius when you think about the mechanics. The films establish early on that the longer Chucky stays in the doll, the more human it becomes. He bleeds, he sweats, he feels pain. But what if that transformation is only temporary, tied directly to the soul's presence? The moment the soul exits, everything snaps back to normal. Look at the evidence from the very first film. After Chucky gets shot to pieces in Andy's apartment, what does Karen Barkley find? A normal-looking doll, minus the damage from bullets. No blood pooling on the carpet, no human tissue scattered around. The police think she's insane because all they see is a destroyed toy. This pattern repeats in Child's Play 2 when Chucky explodes in the factory. Workers would have found organic matter if the doll stayed humanized, but instead, they just see melted plastic. The TV series doubles down on this without realizing it. When Junior stabs one of the Chucky dolls in season 1, the aftermath shows a damaged toy, not a crime scene with biological evidence. It's the perfect cover for supernatural murder. The reversion happens so fast that investigators never get a chance to study the transformation. This theory doesn't just explain plot holes, it makes the horror more insidious. Chucky can kill with impunity because his murder weapon literally destroys itself as evidence. What makes this plausible is how it fits with established voodoo rules in the franchise. But if doll bodies can just reset after death, erasing all evidence, that raises a darker question. What else resets when Chucky's soul moves between bodies? Keep that in mind because the answer explains why Chucky acts completely different depending on which doll you're dealing with. Souls aren't meant to inhabit objects permanently. The human traits Chucky develops are a side effect of prolonged possession, basically the soul bleeding into the vessel. When that connection breaks, the vessel returns to its original state. It's like the doll is just borrowing humanity temporarily. Soul splitting. Here's where things get really interesting and a lot more complicated. Soul splitting was first introduced in the franchise in Seed of Chucky, 2004 with Glenda, but starting with Cult of Chucky in 2017, Chucky learned to split his soul into multiple dolls at once, creating an army of himself. This seemed like a game changer, but also created massive continuity headaches. Simple enough, right? Except fans noticed something weird. These Chuckies didn't all act the same. Some were serious and methodical killers, others cracked jokes and took selfies.
What'd you do with my dad?
Down the laundry chute.
Some showed strategic thinking while others were impulsive and sloppy. At first this seemed like inconsistent writing, but the theory proposes something darker. Each soul fragment develops its own personality based on which aspects of Charles Lee Ray's psyche it contains. Think of it like splitting a personality disorder across multiple bodies. The original Charles Lee Ray was already complex. He was calculated enough to evade police for years, but impulsive enough to get shot in a toy store. He was charming when he needed to be, but vicious when crossed. He loved Tiffany, but also treated her terribly. All these contradictions existed in one person, and when his soul gets split, each fragment emphasizes different traits. Watch how this plays out across the TV series. The Chucky in Hackensack who targets teenagers acts differently than the one at the asylum. One is playful and sadistic, treating kills like a game. The other is cold and focused on specific revenge. They share memories and the core identity of being Chucky, but their decision-making and behavior patterns diverge. It's not just tone differences between episodes, it's actual character variation. This theory gains weight when you consider what Tiffany says in Bride of Chucky about the soul being the essence of a person. If you split an essence, you're not making perfect copies. You're dividing consciousness itself. Each piece would have gaps where other parts of the personality should be. Some fragments might have more of his rage, others more of his cunning, some more of his dark humor. They're all Chucky, but they're incomplete versions, and those gaps get filled differently based on their experiences. Fans call the main one Chucky Prime, the original soul that's been through everything since 1988. He's usually more serious because he carries the weight of decades of failure and obsession. The newer splits are almost like children in comparison, less burdened by history, more prone to experimentation and chaos. The stitched-faced Chucky that Kyle destroys in the series acts more aggressive and less strategic than the one possessing Nika, because it's a different fragment with different priorities. What's scary about this isn't just the multiple bodies, it's that Chucky is slowly erasing himself through division. Each split dilutes the original consciousness further. By season 3, there are so many Chuckies running around that it becomes unclear if any of them are still fully Charles Lee Ray, or if they're all just echoes of who he used to be. The theory suggests this is intentional on some some level, that Chucky would rather exist as fragments scattered across the world than die completely. But here's what doesn't add up. Splitting his soul makes him weaker and less coherent. Why would he keep doing it? The answer isn't about survival. It's about something he's been planning since the very first film failed. And it all comes back to a lie told by a dying man. Soul transfer rule. This one rewrites the entire foundation of the first 3 films. Go back to the original Child's Play. After Chucky possesses the good guy doll, his homeless voodoo mentor John tells Detective Mike Norris the rules. Chucky has to transfer his soul into the first person he revealed his true identity to, or he'll be trapped in the doll forever.
You have to transfer your soul out of the doll into the first human being you revealed your true self to.
And who did Chucky reveal himself to? Andy Barclay, a 6-year-old kid. This creates the central tension of 3 movies. Chucky desperately chasing Andy before time runs out. But here's the thing, John was being tortured with a voodoo doll when he gave up this information. He was in agony, saying whatever might buy him time or satisfy his interrogator. The theory proposes that John lied about the first-person rule, either to protect other potential victims or simply to mislead Chucky into wasting time on an impossible task. The real key to soul transfer was never about who you revealed yourself to. It was always about having the Heart of Damballa amulet. Look at what actually happens in the films. Every time Chucky tries to possess Andy in the first movie, it fails. Not because of some mystical countdown, but because the ritual isn't complete without the amulet. In Child's Play 2, same thing. Chucky corners Andy in the factory, performs the ritual, and nothing happens. He's furious and confused, but he never questions the actual mechanics. In Child's Play 3, he tries again with Tyler because Andy aged out somehow, but again, no success. Then comes Bride of Chucky, and suddenly everything changes. Tiffany brings Chucky back to life and casually mentions she's been reading his voodoo books. She finds information about the Heart of Damballa, an amulet that grants the power to transfer souls without restrictions. With this amulet, Chucky doesn't need Andy at all. He can possess anyone, anytime. This directly contradicts everything John said in the first film. The theory gets stronger when you consider John's character and motivation. He taught Chucky voodoo secrets and watched him become a serial killer. By the time Chucky comes back as a doll seeking help, John is horrified by what he created. When Chucky tortures him for information, John has every reason to lie. He feeds Chucky bad intel, hoping it will lead nowhere. If Chucky wastes his limited time chasing the first-person rule, he'll be trapped as a doll forever. It's John's last attempt to stop the monster he helped create. This reframes Andy's role in the franchise completely. He was never the key to anything. He was just a random target, a wild goose chase that cost Chucky years of his existence. All that obsession, all those attempts to kidnap and possess a child, were based on false information from a dying man's desperate lie. Chucky spent 3 films trapped by his own belief in a rule that never existed. The real tragedy is he could have escaped the doll body at any time if he'd just found the amulet first, or so it seems. Because if the first-person rule was always fake, and the amulet was always the real key, that means Chucky wasted decades trapped in plastic because of bad information. Unless the torture and the lies were never about stopping him, they were about protecting something else. Something that explains why a benevolent voodoo god would grant power to a serial killer in the first place. Damballa's corruption. Now we're getting into the theories that mess with the metaphysics of the entire universe. Damballa is the voodoo deity Chucky invokes for his soul transfers and supernatural powers. In the films, Damballa seems neutral at best, granting power without judgment to whoever performs the rituals correctly. But actual Haitian voodoo presents Damballa as a benevolent creator spirit associated with wisdom, peace, and purity. So what happened? How did a good god become associated with a killer doll? The theory suggests that repeated evil uses of Damballa's power have corrupted the deity itself, or at least corrupted the connection between Damballa and the human world. Every time someone like Chucky performs a dark ritual, it twists the spiritual pipeline. Think of it like pollution. Damballa's essence remains pure somewhere in the spiritual realm, but the pathway humans use to access that power has been poisoned by decades of murder and dark magic. This explains some weird inconsistencies in how voodoo works across the franchise. In the early films, soul transfer is treated as forbidden magic with serious consequences. There's a sense that using these powers goes against natural order, but by the TV series, characters are splitting souls and possessing multiple bodies with almost casual ease. The rituals haven't changed, but they've become more powerful and more dangerous. It's as if the moral cost of the magic has decreased while the destructive potential has increased. Look at what happens with Caroline in season 3. According to theories floating around, she performs a ritual that somehow brings Charles Lee Ray's soul back from spiritual purgatory, and Damballa just allows it. A benevolent god wouldn't resurrect a serial killer, but a corrupted or indifferent one might not care. The theory suggests that every evil act committed using Damballa's power adds another layer of darkness to the spiritual framework. Eventually, the god stops making moral distinctions at all. This has terrifying implications for the franchise's future. If Damballa continues to be corrupted by evil uses, the power available to people like Chucky will keep escalating. We've already seen the progression from single possessions to soul splitting to entire doll armies. What comes next? Could Chucky eventually gain enough power to possess entire crowds, to transfer souls without any ritual at all? The theory suggests that Damballa's corruption is the invisible force driving the franchise's escalation from personal traditional horror to potential apocalypse. There's also a tragic element here that makes the theory compelling. Chucky might not understand that he's destroying the very source of his power. Every time he uses Dambala's magic for murder and chaos, he's poisoning the well. There could come a point where the corruption is so complete that voodoo magic stops working entirely, or worse, it backfires catastrophically. Chucky could be setting himself up for a cosmic comeuppance he doesn't see coming. But there's one person who's been watching this corruption happen from the inside. Someone who's killed alongside Chucky for decades, but has been showing cracks in her loyalty. The question isn't whether Tiffany will betray him, it's whether she'll do it in time to stop what he's really building. Tiffany's turn. For a franchise built on murderous dolls, Tiffany Valentine has always been the wild card. Introduced as Chucky's girlfriend and accomplice in Bride of Chucky, she's matched him kill for kill across multiple movies and the TV series. But fans have noticed something interesting. Tiffany shows signs of genuine emotional growth that Chucky never does. She actually cares about their kids, Glenn and Glenda.
Sweetie, there's nothing to be scared of. Your daddy and I'll be right here.
She forms what seems like real attachment to Nika Pierce in the TV series. She makes plans and sacrifices that don't align with just being evil for evil's sake.
Linda's right. It's time we owned up to it. We have a problem with killing.
The theory proposes that Tiffany is being set up for a redemption arc, a complete betrayal of Chucky to protect the people she's come to care about. All the pieces are in place. She's committed terrible crimes, but always with some emotional justification. She killed her way to reunite with Chucky. She attacked people who threatened her family. She's not a mindless killer like Chucky. She's someone who kills to get what she wants, and what she wants has been slowly changing. Watch her relationship with Nika throughout the TV series. It starts as control and possession, but evolves into something that looks uncomfortably like genuine affection. Tiffany keeps Nika captive, but also protects her, cares for her, and seems genuinely conflicted about the situation. This is a huge departure from how she interacted with victims in earlier films. She's developing actual empathy, which is poison to a serial killer's worldview. Then there's her relationship with her children. In Seed of Chucky, she wants desperately to be a good mother, even though she has no idea what that means. She tries to stop killing for Glenn's sake, only falling back into it under pressure. By the TV series, she's working actively to protect Glenn and Glenda from Chucky's influence. She recognizes that her kids deserve better than growing up in a cycle of murder. That recognition is the first step toward moral awakening. The setup for betrayal is everywhere once you look for it. Chucky treats Tiffany terribly despite her devotion. He's dismissive, manipulative, and openly uses her as a tool. He possesses Nika specifically to torture Tiffany emotionally. He doesn't value their relationship beyond what it gets him. Tiffany has to notice this on some level. The theory suggests she's been slowly building toward a breaking point where she'll choose her own survival and her children's future over her toxic attachment to Chucky. What makes this theory plausible is that it fits the franchise's increasing complexity. Early Chucky movies were simple slasher horror. The TV series wants to explore generational trauma, toxic relationships, and the possibility of breaking cycles. Tiffany turning against Chucky would be the ultimate expression of those themes. It would show that even someone as damaged as her can choose differently, and it would give Chucky a deeply personal defeat, betrayed by the one person he thought would never leave him. The question isn't if Tiffany will turn, it's when and how much damage she'll cause in the process. Will she try to destroy all the Chucky dolls to protect her kids? Will she team up with Andy and Kyle to end him permanently? Or will her redemption be partial, helping the heroes just enough to save Nika before disappearing? Any of these would work dramatically, and all of them have been foreshadowed. But even if Tiffany turns against him, she might already be too late. Because while fans have been focused on possessed dolls and family drama, Chucky has been quietly testing something far more dangerous. Every teenager he corrupted, every institution he infiltrated, every headline he generated, none of it was random chaos. It was recruitment. And what comes next makes every other horror franchise villain look small-time. Global cult agenda. This is where the theories get truly apocalyptic. Everything Chucky has done since learning to split his soul points towards something bigger than personal revenge or survival. The pattern is clear once you see it. He's not just trying to stay alive anymore, he's trying to spread, to infect, to corrupt on a massive scale. The army of dolls in Cult of Chucky wasn't the endgame, it was a test run. Remember when I said the soul splits and personality fragments weren't accidents? This is why. Look at the TV series structure. Season 1 focuses on corrupting teenagers in a small town. He doesn't just kill adults, he specifically targets kids and tries to turn them into killers. Junior becomes his protege, and by the end of the season, Chucky has essentially recruited a human follower. Season 2 expands this to institutions, taking over a reform school and an asylum where vulnerable people can be manipulated. Season 3 goes bigger still, with an attack on the White House that was really about proving he could strike anywhere. The theory proposes that Chucky is building towards something the franchise has never seen before. Not just possessed dolls spreading chaos, but a coordinated network of human followers and possessed vessels working together. A true cult with Charles Charles Lee Ray as the Dark Messiah. He's already proven he can possess multiple bodies at once and maintain a kind of hive mind connection. The next step is possessing key people, using them to recruit more followers, and gradually building an organization that operates in both the human and supernatural worlds. Think about the mechanics. If Chucky can split his soul into dozens of dolls, what's to stop him from possessing dozens of people? He could have vessels in positions of power, people whose bodies he controls while their souls are trapped inside watching helplessly. Naka Pierce was just the prototype for this strategy. Imagine a Chucky-possessed politician, a possessed police chief, a possessed social media influencer. He could spread his influence through systems, not just through direct violence. The TV series has been dropping hints that this is the direction things are heading. The attack on the White House wasn't random terrorism, it was Chucky demonstrating that nowhere is safe. He's showing potential followers that he has reach and power. He's also creating media coverage and notoriety. The legend of Chucky grows every time he makes headlines, and legends attract people looking for meaning or power. Some broken individuals might actually want to serve him. This theory ties together everything the franchise has been building. The voodoo magic keeps getting stronger and easier to use. The soul splitting means geometric growth potential. The corruption of Damballa means fewer supernatural limits. Chucky's personality fragments mean he can adapt strategies across multiple fronts. His willingness to corrupt children means he's thinking long-term, building a next generation of killers. All of this points toward empire building, not just survival. What makes this particularly disturbing is that it mirrors real-world cult dynamics. Charismatic leaders attract damaged followers. They offer belonging, purpose, and power to people who feel powerless. Chucky is charismatic in his own twisted way, and he has literal supernatural powers to offer. In a world where good guy dolls have killed dozens of people on camera, you'd get believers. You'd get people wanting to join that, to be part of something bigger than themselves. The franchise has also been building toward this thematically. Early films were about one doll hunting one victim. Then it became about cycles of trauma across generations. Now it's about how evil spreads through communities and corrupts institutions. The logical endpoint is Chucky as a true existential threat. And here's the terrifying part. All those earlier theories we covered aren't separate ideas. They're prerequisites. The doll reversion hides evidence so his cult can operate in secret. The soul splitting creates an army that can't be killed because there's no central body. The amulet lie means he wasted time learning lessons about patience and long-term planning. Damballa's corruption removes the spiritual limits on his power. And Tiffany's potential betrayal? That might be the only thing that can stop him, because every human authority has already failed. So what's the final piece? What proves this isn't just fan speculation, but actually where the franchise is heading? Hypothetically, a setting like a cruise ship would be perfect for this theory. Contained environment, international victims, proof that Chucky can strike anywhere in the world. It would be the perfect demonstration of reach before the real plan kicks in. A cult doesn't announce itself all at once. It grows in shadows, building power until the reveal. Chucky has been in the shadows for 30 years. The theory suggests his shadow is about to cover everything. If you enjoyed this video and want to see the evolution of Ghostface, click the video on the screen.